What's going on today, guys? Today's going to be another important video, and it's not really one that I've been asked a lot about, but it's one that I really want to go over because I feel like this is something that everyone really needs to work on. Even like professional players need to continuously work on stuff like this. And the thing I'm talking about is keybinds. So a primary thing that has allowed WoW players to evolve into being so good at the game has primarily been from like things like add-ons, weak auras, but key bindings have also been something that a lot of people just don't talk about that are incredibly important, because the slower you are at like pressing a button or targeting someone or getting off an ability, the slower you are at that, the higher chance you have at dying or them getting away or getting off an ability themselves. And so the faster you can do anything in the game usually always means that it's going to be better, and that something is going to go in your favor if you can get off something faster. And so I really want to go over how I keybind things, but the main point that I want to address here is that everyone's keybindings are going to be different, right? So like, if you look at professional players like Zaryu or Peekaboo or like Gex, just any of these top players, all their key bindings are going to be different from each other, right? No, like there's probably not going to be any top players in the game that have the exact same key binds. Now, if you have something special like an MMO gaming mouse where you have like 12 buttons on the side of it or something, maybe a lot of people's key bindings will be similar in that aspect, but that's usually not someone's, like all of someone's key bindings. They're usually not always tied to just the mouse. And that brings another topic of discussion too. I don't use an MMO gaming mouse. I just use a basic Logitech gaming mouse with 2 buttons on the side. And the reason I do that is because it's just like the anatomy of my hand. So it's not even something that I can do like because I want to. Like, I would love to be able to use an MMO gaming mouse, but like the way my thumb is structured, I just can't like bend it fast enough in order to hit those buttons on the side of the mouse. So it's actually faster for me to use like shift and control modifiers for my keybinds. And so like I did try using one. I actually bought, I think it was a Razer Naga or something like that, and I tried it, and it was just immediately really difficult for me because I can't bend my thumb fast enough, and I can't even bend it all the way down. I don't know if it's like because the muscle structure in my hand, or if my thumb bone or something is just preventing me. Maybe I had like an injury I didn't even know about or something. I don't know, but I just can't do it. And so it's actually a lot faster for me to just use the smaller mice and to just use different modifiers. And I want to show you guys how I modify my abilities in case you have the same problem as me. But I'll also just talk about key bindings in a way to where, like, if you do use an MMO gaming mouse, it'll still benefit you. So the way I have all my key bindings here is I have 1 through 6 here, and I have shift 1 through 6 here. All my primary abilities that I use like most of the time for damage usually lie on my 1 through 6 keybinds. So this will be like my filler spells, abilities I press a lot, sometimes maybe like an AoE ability. But the main thing too to make sure that you're doing is you keep your especially if you play multiple characters, you keep your key bindings generally the same as your other characters, and I'll talk about that as well. So like my shift 1 will usually be like a mobility button, like this is my Ghost Wolf, and shift 2 is my Gust of Wind. Shift 3, usually I have a dispel here, like purge or something, or just some kind of extra button. Usually these ones are like my extra buttons, like if I can't really fit them into a niche category. Shift 5 is always my mount, and I keep shift 6 here because like the macro for my mount doesn't always show it's usable, and so I keep this here to let me know if I can actually use a mount. My defensives always go on G. So now these modifiers here, I have G, Shift G, Control G, F, Shift F, Control F. One of my mouse buttons, Shift, Control. The other mouse button, Shift, Control. The middle mouse button, Shift, Control. X, Shift X, Control X. So you can see how I have like the modifiers next to each type of button, like B, Shift B. I don't use Control B because that's for my bags. T, Shift T, Control T. So you can see I have them all in sets of 3. And this is to help me keep track of similar categories. So like G will be my defensive section. So like Astral Shift, Earth Elemental, my Earth Elemental Stun. My mouse button will generally be my main cooldown. So I'll have like my Fire Elemental, my Bloodlust. I don't keep Stormkeeper up here because Stormkeeper is so important to use at such a specific time and in a specific way that I like it at 3. Not only that, but it's also because I didn't really have anything else to put down here. So if I was like on a different class and I had another ability that is usually part of the rotation, I would put that here and I'd put Stormkeeper like up here. This mouse button is always my kick. This is always a slow. This is always like a purge. Middle mouse button, this is usually a stun. This one's usually a CC. This one's usually maybe an extra slow or something. X's are always my heals, so like healing surge, my battleground potions, and then I don't really have a third healing button at the moment. F could usually be a stun, so like my middle mouse button and my F usually will share something. Shift F will usually be some kind of like, not really a defensive, but more of like a utility button. And Control F is usually, you know, some of these have like fillers, and it makes sense in my head. It might not make sense to you guys. But the whole gist of all of this is to just make your key bindings make sense to you, but keep them organized in a way that not only is it consistent across your character, but it's consistent across all 3 of your specs, or 4 or 2 if you're a different class. And it's also consistent across all of your classes, right? So when I was naming these, I wasn't saying, oh, this is Astral Shift, Earth Elemental, blah, blah, blah. I said, these are my defensives. These are my my kick, slow, right? I wasn't saying this is my Wind Shear, Frost Shock, because when I'm on like say my Demon Hunter or something, this will be my interrupt on my Demon Hunter. This will probably be like my Throw Glaive, since Throw Glaive can slow. This will be my Consume Magic for my Demon Hunter, right? So it's like if I get on another character, I can. Maybe I'll still have to adjust to the new abilities, but at least I generally have like an idea of where these buttons are located. And if I do get confused, I can move them around to where I feel like they need to be. So your key bindings are extremely important because you need to be able to hit these buttons as fast as possible. Like if I see my health going down, I need to be like defensive. I need to hit that button the second I think of defensive, right? If I'm losing health, I know immediately what button to press for my wall without like a shadow of a doubt. And if I need heals, I know exactly what button to press. And so there's usually no delay in the buttons I press. Usually the delay will come when you panic. And so when you start panicking, you start maybe smashing buttons and you start fat fingering things by accident. You click something by accident and then it's like, oh shit, I didn't mean to heal, and now I have to do this, and now the melee is still attacking me. But that'll just happen no matter what, right? This happens to everyone. Everyone gets nervous, everyone panics. No one plays perfectly. And this is something I want to make everyone understand too, is it's literally impossible. It is statistically impossible for anyone to ever make the 100% correct play in a game. There is always something you can do better. There's always something you could have done faster. There's always something you could have avoided. So just keep that in mind, that even whatever games you watch, people always make mistakes. Even what I'm telling you right now might not work for you. This is just generally what I like to do, and I think it's good for people to keybind because it just allows you to react faster. Now, if you're using a gaming mouse, you could basically do the same thing I was showing you down here. Like these are my this whole set right here of 9. These are all my mouse buttons. And so basically you could extend this set of 9 now to maybe like this category over here. So instead of you needing to reach all the way over for like Control B or Control T or something like really weird across the keyboard, now you could maybe just assign it to one mouse button. Again, I would like to be able to use mouse buttons like that because I think it's super useful and it's super fast, but I just can't. And the reason the MMO mice are really good for that is because they generally have their buttons in sets of 3. And there's usually like, I think 12 buttons, so it's like 3 in each row, and then there's like 4 columns or something. And so it would actually work perfectly for my setup, because like this could be mouse button 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, right? So you could actually design it to look like your mouse, so like you wouldn't even have to think about it that much. So I mean, you could make a row of 12 right here and just have it look exactly like how your mouse buttons would look like on the side. Do whatever you need to make these faster for you, but you need to keybind everything. Anything you use in PvP should be keybound, because you need to be able to press it as fast as possible. You don't want to have to look for your mouse and drag it across the screen or anything. But one of the fastest way you can just keybind things is literally by going to your options, typing in keybind, go to quick keybind mode, and then this will literally let you just keybind whatever you want by pressing the button over the icons. So like if I wanted to change this to make these backwards or something, I could do Control T, Shift T, and then T, right? I just press the button and it automatically changes it. So I'm just going to change it back real quick. Boom, super fast. And you could just do that across all your icons. Makes it extremely easy, so much better than just having to individually set every single one from the manual menu. So definitely do the quick keybind mode to reset all of your icons. And you can even make this character specific, but the reason I don't do this is because again, this is very important to keep all of your key bindings generally the same across all your characters to make it that much more easy and consistent. Because now you know exactly where those similar type of abilities are going to be. Like, you know where your kicks are, your slows, your purges, your cooldowns, your defensives, your fillers. Just keep them all generally in the same spot, and it'll make it a lot easier for you. Another thing that's very important too, that they just added, I think in Dragonflight. I've gone over this before, but I want to reiterate this since it's all about key bindings, is if you go to the options and you click and you type in cast, there's an option here for click casting. If you click this, you can see I have some buttons here for mouse bindings. This is for like unit frames. So when I hover over a unit frame or something, I can cast these abilities. So I can cast Healing Surge if I left click on a healing frame, or Earth Shield if I right click, or I can cleanse them for middle mouse button. This one is especially important for like if there's an enemy shaman, because now I can see on the unit frame if they're hexed, or with my weak aura I have. And then all I have to do is just hover over his unit frame and just middle mouse button, and he's just cleansed the hex. So super fast, right? I see he's hexed, I move my mouse, middle mouse button, boom. You could even make this faster if you want by keybinding this with like, if you're doing like specific 3v3 or 2v2, you could actually make a direct macro for your healer. Or you could get, this is an add-on called Sort Group. I think the add-on's called Sort Group or something like that. And you can actually customize it to arrange your party. So it's like party 1, 2, and 3. And then you can assign a macro for your cleanse. So that way, every single time, it'll make sure your healer's in a specific unit frame. And then you can cast your cleanse spirit macro with that unit frame, and it'll always target your healer with the cleanse spirit. And you can make another one for the third party member. Now, I think you can only do this with your party team. I don't think you can do it with the enemy team. So like you wouldn't be able to use like your damaging or CC abilities or something on enemy targets using these macros. You can still use your arena target like 1, 2, and 3 for stuff like that. I don't generally like to use those because how much you have to like change shit around. I already have to change so much shit around every single arena. I don't need anything else. But I do like using focus macros. So like if I focus like an enemy healer, instead of going over clicking them or tab targeting them or setting a different macro or something, I can just click my focus macro and it'll wind shear or hex whoever is on my focus. So that's also useful. That's a very good alternative, but this with Sort Group will be very good for your team. I've been thinking about getting that as well. That might be something I'll have to look into. I didn't know this add-on existed, Sort Group, so that's something I might download and try out and test out, and then maybe after that I will update my video on add-ons and weak auras and whatnot, because that's another video I have planned, is updating that guide. Key bindings, very, very important. Make sure all of your abilities are keybind in a way that makes sense to you. Obviously, if you have accessibility issues, then that's not something that you can control. This is more so just for people that are looking to improve and how to do key bindings, because a lot of people get confused. A lot of people think that you have to like keybind your stuff exactly the way of like rank 1 players, or you're not gonna make it. I see that a lot in like top players chats, is like, what do you keybind for like this? It's like, it doesn't matter. You just need to keybind it in a way that you remember and that will help you out by being consistent and in a way that's fast. So if you hit all those, it doesn't matter what you keybind it to. Just do it to something that's fast and it makes sense, right? If you like the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/metallurgy, where we usually stream on the weekends at 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And hopefully I'll see you guys later for the add-ons, weak auras, and macros video. Later, guys.